a draw in certain situations, right? So I like to start this one with a question to get our minds working a little bit. If you've taken my camp before, please don't answer, because I usually ask this question. What in pickleball? So I'm talking about a drive. I'm talking about a hard, low shot like that, okay? There's one time in a point that is definitely the most optimal time to hit that hard, low shot. When is it? Potentially, but you're all around the right answer. The third shot is the same. Even if it's a deep return, if you're going to drive, the third shot's the best time to do it. Why? Why is the third shot? What's unique about that situation? Where if I drive my third, or we get back and then I drive again, why is the next time not as good as the first time? Exactly, right? The person who just returned is still transitioning and getting into formation. So while they're working their way up, specifically that third shot is the best thing. If we're going to drive at all, that's the best time to do it, because maybe this person won't be perfectly in position or perfectly at the line. Even if they do make it to the line, it's much tougher to run up, split step, and dart for a volley than it is driving to their partner who's up here balanced and established and waiting for it, right? So like I talked about, one of my guidelines, used to call it a rule, now I call it a guideline, is don't drive two balls in a row, right? Because if we drive our third, they volley it back, we drive again, now what advantage have we lost? Both players are where? Yeah, they're both right and established in the kitchen line, and more than ready, usually if we drove the last one. So I'm not going to say we never drive two in a row. We drive one, and the next volley really sits up. Maybe we feel like they have slower hands, or we got a power advantage. Maybe we drive two in a row, but the standard is not to drive. It's to drive once. If they don't pop it up, they volley it back here. Now, take what they give us. They've given us an easier drop. We'll drop, we'll look to get forward, and go from there. So, what we're going to talk about today, in addition to the technique and how to hit the shot, is there are 3 specific situations or ways to use the drive, and we're going to go over all of those today. Different set plays, how we're looking to use the drive. Because we can do the same drive, but depending on the situation or the play, we might use it in a very different way. Now, the safest way to use the drive, and the first and the most common way to use this, we're just doing most of the time, is what I call the drive drop combo. Okay? So the logic is very similar to the logic yesterday on the drop section, right? When we're choosing to drop, we're doing that for one goal. If we're dropping, why are we doing that? We're trying to get where?
Kitchen.
We're trying to neutralize the point and eventually get to the kitchen. The problem is, this is partially why you see the modern game and the pro game going to more drives. The problem is I'm dropping from really far away. I have to hit a very, very good shot to not be under a lot of pressure on my next ball. Let's show that real quick. So you don't have to play a little drop here. So if I play my drop from back here, I want to play with enough height to get it over and get it in the kitchen. But this is what the modern game is doing. If I play this with just a little too much height, look what happens in my path forward. So I lift this just a little too much, come on. And now I'm under the gun on my very next ball. Yes, I earned my way to half court, but this isn't where I'm ultimately trying to get. I'm trying to get further. I have to stop here, but now I get bullied and beat up in transition because dropping from far away, I need a certain amount of height to give myself time, so my opponents can punish that height, okay? Now, potentially, if I drive though, when I'm using the drive drop combo, I'm driving for deep. My goal on the drive is not to win the point. If I happen to miss the volley, that's a bonus. It's not my expectation. My reason for driving here is to plan ahead for my next shot to not be so difficult. Because we showed that if I don't play a perfect ball here, how much tougher my next shot is to mid-post. Now when I'm driving, I'm hoping if I play a good low drive, if he makes the ball, I expect him to, but I'm hoping he volleys it a little bit more short, okay? If he does, then I'll have an easier time hitting and getting up. Let's see if we can show that. So I drive here, and now the ball is a little shorter. Now if he would have come at me and not taken that, he would have attacked me, right? If that setup, he would have attacked me. I'm standing here. Do I have to reset and block from here? No. Am I perfectly at the line? No. So think about this in 4 pieces, right? Most instructors will tell you, kitchen, transition, baseline. To embrace the aggression of the modern game, my suggestion is you add a 4th area in your mind. You find that area 1 step off the kitchen line. I call this the short transition zone. The reason this is worthy of its own name is this location gives me the option for both defense and offense. So if I'm attacked, I can attack back and still win a relatively high percentage. If I'm here though and I'm attacked, I'll win some, but I don't think it's overall a winning play. It forces me to reset 1 more time. So what I'm getting at is by using the drive drop combo that I just showed, what did I not have to do? Never had to play transition. I never had to dig a tough ball out of transition. I drove from here. It wasn't a bad volley. It was somewhat shorter midcourt. I dropped from here. I got to about here. And now I don't have to play defense anymore. If he attacks me, I can swing right back. If he digs, that's fine, and I've made it. But how often, if we're playing traditional pickleball and dropping all the time against aggressive players, do we make drops, but we never make it past this midcourt area? Right? So I'm not saying we never drop. That's not the message. And sometimes we will even drop from here. But you want to think about planning accordingly and not getting stuck here over and over again. So if you're a great dropper and you reset great transition, then that's your path forward. But if you're not as comfortable here and you've got a great drive, my suggestion to you is get forward just a different way. Drive your first split step, keep the ball in front of you, and drop the next one. Now, we talked about another way to use the drive, but also not what we want to do in this scenario. I'll explain. So, the other way to use the drive is we drive, and rather than split step, we drive and we close in immediately looking for the ball. Okay? Both are usable, and both could technically be used at any time. For me, though, I don't use what I call the drive and crash from back in the baseline. Here's why. So let's show that. Maybe I'll get it back maybe at home. Look at how much tougher my response is to the Hughes volley here. If when I drive, I sprint forward and I look for the volley right away. Here we go. So I drive. That was much tougher to run into violence than my last approach, which was I drove, I immediately came to a stop, and I was ready to drop the next one in a balanced manner. Okay? So I would not recommend driving and crashing when we're near the baseline hitting drives. But we heard somebody answer best time to drive short return. If I'm driving a short return that is both short and not super low, if I'm super low, I'm still probably going to drop this time. But if it's short and sitting up, now when I drive, I can close in, my feet are more protected by the net, and I have a good chance of taking the next one out of the air and going instant offense, okay? So we talked about 2 ways to use the drive. What are they? Drive drop combo, and then the drive press. How do we choose? If we're going to drive, how do we choose whether to drive and get balanced and probably drop, or how do we choose to drive and instantly crash? What do we base that off of?
The return.
Where we're standing when we hit the drive. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. If I have an amazing drive, maybe I can drive and crash from here, right? If I don't have a great drive, then maybe I still drive and hold my ground here, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all, but just understand, the further you are away, the tougher that drive and crash is going to be for being effective, right? Guys, anything else with why I can drive before we get into technique?
No, I think the thing that changed my game when you drive is when I stopped using the drive. Okay, the point's going to end, right? I'm going to drive and I'm just going to win the point. It's when you take a little bit off, right? Our drive is not about how hard we can hit it. It's can we keep the trajectory low, right? A really hard drive that's up in here, not going to be effective, right? But if you can take some off and now get that ball a little bit lower for them to have to hit up, that's when we can look to really, really attack off it. But you know, don't think of it as, hey, I'm just going to win the point off this. It's more of a setup, you know. So that really changed my game when I stopped just trying to win the point outright off the first drive and looked at is it more of a setup to give me implications?
Yeah, for sure. Always a setup. We talked about those two potential setups. We've got one more way, a third way to use the drive. I'm not going to talk about that now. We're going to save that for kind of our next discussion. But for right now, think of we either drive and we crash, or we drive and we bounce. Okay, switching our mindset now to not just why do we use the drive, but how to drive.